new psychological study from the National Institute of Mental Health.
Just this morning, along with his longtime
circle
psychiatrist.
of depression is growing wider, broader.
15% of women suffer from this disorder.
Affecting over 20 million Americans. Changes that have occurred in the
Abnormalities in the neurotransmitters.
Is that a chemical imbalance?
Got a problem, they've got a drug.
6 million American kids take prescribed medication.
But what if the criminal is mentally ill? The punishment, a form of aversion therapy.
I'm going to cure us on the show, but I want to...
OCD.
Oppositional defiant disorder.
Schools criticized for over-prescription.
Para onde quer que se olhe, aí está. Pensa que a psiquiatria não tem nada a ver consigo? Pense nisso de novo. Todo o campo da psiquiatria introduziu-se em cada faceta da sua vida.
They basically believe that everyone is mentally ill.
You smoke too much, it's a disease. You're too unhappy, it's a disease. You're too thin, it's a disease. You're too fat, it's a disease.
Where are these coming from? These are coming from the minds of psychiatrists that are dreaming these things up, writing papers and getting published with their names on it, creating these new diseases.
First he said that I had ADD. Then he said that I was depressed. Then he said I might be bipolar, but I don't have ADD anymore. And he said, you know, I've been noticing you, and I wonder if you have it too.
What they decided is that both my husband and my son had a chemical imbalance that needed to be corrected with a chemical balancer.
There is not one shred of credible evidence that any respectable scientist would consider valid, demonstrating that anything that psychiatrists call mental illness are brain diseases or biochemical imbalances. It's all fraud.
There is no reliability of diagnosis, and there is no science. It's just pseudoscience. It's pretend science.
This is one of the most open secrets in all of America in the psychiatric field, that nothing is being done that's legitimate, and they're billing for it.
How do you evaluate if someone is cured or sick?
Cure is certainly something we look forward to. We have no earthly idea how to accomplish.
We're not good at the causes. We don't know what causes mental illness.
Mas isso não os impediu de se declararem peritos em saúde mental e tratar as pessoas contra a sua vontade. E os resultados?
This psychiatrist, man who's supposed to work to heal people, has done nothing but destroy this man's life, and in destroying his life, destroying the lives of all of his loved ones. Excuse me.
They've damaged and ruined my son, and they've trapped him in a system.
The way that they treated him and made him feel like he was worthless.
Bryant was being kept dumb and high on Ritalin so that they could make $2,500 per month.
He gave me Valium, and I got addicted to it.
It wiped out my life.
My life has been ruined. My joy has been stolen.
She was laying there. She took two gasps of air and died right there in front of me.
It is really tragic. It's awful. And it's being done for money. That's why it's being done.
Oh, it's got to be in the billions. I don't know the exact number, but it's got to be in the billions. It's just unbelievable.
This is so big that it boggles the mind.
Pegue na tragédia humana que acaba de ver e multiplique-a por milhões. Nas últimas 4 décadas, quase o dobro de americanos morreu em hospitais psiquiátricos do governo do que em todas as guerras dos Estados Unidos desde 1776. As companhias de seguros pagam 69 mil milhões de dólares por ano pelos serviços psiquiátricos, duplicando o custo das cotas de seguros médicos. E enquanto embolsam mais de 2 bilhões de dólares por ano, os psiquiatras não podem mostrar uma única cura. Difícil de acreditar. É exatamente com o que contam. E como lhes iremos mostrar, é como têm escapado desde o início.
The roots of psychiatry have to do with control, power, and alienation from certain groups of people who were uncomfortable to be around. They were locked up in these places to get them out of the way. The history of psychiatry, I think, really is related to institutions.
O Hospital Royal Bethlehem de Londres foi uma das primeiras instituições psiquiátricas do mundo. Conhecido como Bedlam, o hospital não era mais do que um armazém para aqueles considerados loucos. Os internados eram encarcerados em jaulas, despensas e estábulos, eram acorrentados à parede e eram chicoteados, enquanto o hospital cobrava a admissão para a exibição pública. No século XVIII, William Batty foi o primeiro a promover que os seus hospitais podiam curar os doentes mentais. Os manicômios de Batty tornaram-no o homem mais rico da Inglaterra, ainda que os seus tratamentos fossem tão desumanos como os praticados em Bedlam, sem um único paciente curado. O seu êxito financeiro desencadeou uma expansão no negócio dos manicômios e a oportunidade para os psiquiatras lucrarem com esta nova indústria crescente.
This was an era where, on both sides of the Atlantic, specialized institutions for the mentally ill are beginning to be built in large numbers. Those institutions date back certainly to the beginning of the 18th century, and in a few cases even earlier than that. But the explosive growth of an asylum sector, of asylumdom, as some historians have called it, is very much a 19th century phenomenon. It's that period when the state is persuaded to invest tax dollars in building these places.
Mas enquanto aqueles que dirigiam as instituições enriqueciam, faltava aos psiquiatras a credibilidade para maximizar as suas receitas.
In order to justify their profession, they needed to come up with these biological solutions, or they didn't have any profession. The only way for them to solve that was to attempt to start believing that these people that were suffering from emotional disorders was from a biological basis.
Whatever was done to make this person more manageable would be simply called a treatment. And the sad reality is that many of these so-called treatments were, in essence, torture.
The near-drowning devices that were developed in this period, for example, must have been appallingly frightening. For example, one device involved putting the patient into a coffin, closing the lid, and dumping it into a bath of water, and then opening it up and trying to revive the patient. There were a range of these things, and the mortality rate was very, very high.
Os psiquiatras procuraram depois dar crédito às suas práticas ao disfarçá-las na linguagem da medicina. Este redesenho do tratamento tornou-se conhecido como modelo médico.
Somebody who's really hyper and manic, if you're wrapped up in a cold sheet and dunked into some water, you're going to quit acting manic because that's a punishing treatment. So, but as soon as the symptoms started to go away, they started to believe that somehow by wrapping them up and dunking them in cold water, it was draining the toxics out of their body. So they built the medical model around that.
Ao levar mais adiante a teoria biológica da doença mental, um americano, Benjamin Rush, propôs a ideia de que a loucura era causada devido a um grande volume de sangue na cabeça. A cura? Tirar o sangue por qualquer meio. Imobilização, água gelada, sangramento, inclusive o terror. E com isso, criou-se um novo modelo médico.
Benjamin Rush was probably the most famous American physician of the Revolutionary era. Rush was known as the master bleeder. He bled his patients for madness. He also invented something called the tranquilizer. It's a chair that looks a little bit like an electric chair. The patient was confined in this apparatus, sometimes with cold water applied to his or her head, for some hours at a time, and Rush announces in a letter that he's invented this new contraption and dubbed it the tranquilizer.
Os procedimentos frequentemente letais de Rush foram detalhados no seu livro de 1812, que continuou a ser a fonte autorizada da psiquiatria durante os próximos 70 anos. Ele era tão reverenciado que em 1965 Rush foi consagrado pai da psiquiatria americana no selo da Associação Psiquiátrica Americana. Nos finais do século XIX, os crescentes fracassos da psiquiatria em curar a loucura ameaçavam os seus lucros financeiros, obrigando-os a inventar novos modelos médicos.
The cures promised when it was delivered. So by the 1860s and 70s, a growing mood of pessimism was covering Europe and North America, that effectively the new institutions were ever growing in size, but not growing in their effectiveness.
O século XX trouxe mais modelos médicos. O psiquiatra americano Henry Cotton mutilava os seus pacientes, removendo-lhes partes do corpo, e declarou que este era um grande avanço para tratar as doenças mentais.
The earliest target was the teeth and then the tonsils and the sinuses. But when patients didn't get better, the enthusiasts for this treatment then started to move down the body and to say, well, obviously patients have swallowed bacteria in their saliva, so stomachs need to go, spleens need to go, colons need to go.
Com a escalada da indignação pública pela tortura e mutilação de pacientes, os psiquiatras inventaram novos métodos, cada um aclamado como cura milagrosa. Mas cada um provou ser tão ineficaz e brutal como o anterior.
This is a history of psychiatry, more or less, to damage the patient. I mean, this is a version of the original model, which was to chain them like animals.
If you're doing it to somebody because you insist that they have to change, and you're going to do that by turning the screws, you might say, whether it's with medication, restraint, whatever, that's torture. And a huge part of what psychiatry has done really comes down to torture.
Ao avançar no século XX, a psiquiatria continuou a procurar a legitimidade ao transformar-se em disciplina médica. Mas somente conseguiram criar formas mais eficientes de infligir tortura mental e física e morte. Um legado que tem continuado até à psiquiatria moderna com o seu mais lucrativo modelo médico até hoje. Drogar milhões de pessoas. Mas para o conseguir, os psiquiatras primeiro tinham de destroçar uma das crenças mais preciosas da humanidade, decretando que as pessoas não eram o que pensavam que eram. Universidade de Leipzig, Alemanha, 1879. O professor Wilhelm Wundt faz experiências sobre os sentidos humanos. Wundt declara que os pensamentos, personalidade e comportamento do homem não são mais do que reações químicas do cérebro.
Wundt became frustrated with his inability to change behavior because he was dealing with the original, psychology. That's the psyche, that's the soul. He created a new science, which was based on man being an animal without a soul, to be trained. Not to be a thinker, but to be trained.
Estudantes de todo o mundo reuniram-se para estudar a nova definição do homem por Wundt como um organismo sem alma. O espírito da época foi resumido pelo filósofo alemão Friedrich Nietzsche.
Gott ist tot. Gott bleibt tot. Wir haben ihn umgebracht.
Seguindo a teoria de Wundt, o russo Ivan Pavlov fez experiências com animais ao procurar métodos para modificar o comportamento.
Pavlov studied in Wilhelm Wundt's laboratory in Leipzig, Germany, in the late 1800s. And he experimented with dogs, with electrodes and stimulus response, denying privileges, to denying rewards.
And he noticed that when you brought out some food in front of animals, dogs in particular, that they would begin to salivate. So he'd ring the bell at the same time that he brought the food out, and then eventually, instead of bringing the food out, he just rang the bell, and of course the dogs got all excited. He called that a conditioned reflex.
Os primeiros sujeitos de testes foram crianças. Pavlov perfurava-lhes as bochechas para recolher e medir a sua saliva.
Pavlovian conditioning became one of the major foundations of a lot of behavioral science research in the 20th century.
A ideia de que se podia controlar o comportamento com condicionamento repetitivo ficou conhecida como behaviorismo.
The behaviorists believe that all children are animals and can be trained as animals. This was the view of behaviorists. As a matter of fact, John Watson, the most famous of the behaviorists, says that you have to treat human beings or look at human beings the way you would look at the ox you slaughter. See, the behavior is not interested in what's up in your head or your soul, because they don't believe there is a soul.
O sucessor de Watson, o psicólogo de Harvard, B.F. Skinner, acreditava que todo o comportamento podia ser manipulado para adaptar-se a qualquer fim que o psicólogo behaviorista procurava.
Skinner developed what's called operant conditioning, where he was able to demonstrate you can change animal behavior by certain schedules of reinforcement, by giving them rewards at certain times, and then you can teach pigeons to play ping pong, for example, and you can teach rats to run mazes, and you can teach human beings to seek certain economic or societal rewards.
Skinner could actually shape new behavior patterns, and this actually was the sort of thing he quite soon became very famous for.
Talvez a sua experiência mais famosa tenha sido a caixa Skinner.
He was designing a Skinner box, which is something like a big plate pan, but everything in it's controlled. The temperature's controlled, the light's controlled, and so on. And the idea is then you present children with certain stimuli that you want them to learn to react to.
Durante quase um ano, Skinner isolou a sua filha numa caixa similar às que construiu para ratos.
The child was stimulated and had to respond in a certain way, like a chicken or a rat in a cage, because they firmly believe that children are animals. If you believe, though, that a child is a human being, you can't train him like a rat.
Hoje, o Instituto Nacional de Saúde Mental dos Estados Unidos paga quase 40 milhões de dólares por ano com dinheiro dos contribuintes para a investigação da psicologia behaviorista. Um total de 19 mil milhões desde 1948. Com esses fundos, os psiquiatras aplicam as mesmas técnicas de condicionamento desenvolvidas por Pavlov, Watson e Skinner. Um bom exemplo. Um centro de detenção juvenil onde as crianças estão ligadas a baterias de 270 volts e recebem choques na chamada terapia de aversão.
Antoine was having a number of problems because he was up at a center that was shocking him every time he did anything. There was a button on a little, almost like a TV remote, that would be used and pushed.
They will get an additional shock for trying to remove the electrode. So they're expected to sit there and let this electricity pass through their skin without trying to remove it. If they yell in anticipation of the shock, they will shock the student an additional time for yell.
The cost to send a student to Judge Rottenberg from New York is about $214,000 per student. These students are tortured. They're given this electric shock therapy for no other reason but to inflict pain.
Outras técnicas incluem administrar eletrochoques para tratar desvio sexual, enviar impulsos magnéticos pelo crânio para interromper a atividade cerebral e alta voltagem através de elétrodos implantados cirurgicamente para reprimir o comportamento problemático, o que custa até $100 mil por paciente. E enquanto esta ciência sem alma levou a técnicas de modificação do comportamento que continuam a gerar milhares de milhões de dólares em investigação e tratamentos, também lançou as bases para outro movimento psiquiátrico que causaria a morte de milhões de pessoas.
January 1945. As World War II comes to a close, the full horror of Hitler's final solution is exposed. With grotesque killing factories, unparalleled in human history. Mass graves filled with corpses of men, women and children, murdered by starvation, bullets and poison gas. What could drive men to commit such atrocities against their fellow human beings?
A resposta é a pseudociência chamada eugenia, criada e promovida por psiquiatras décadas antes dos nazis chegarem ao poder.
The eugenics movement got started in 1883 with Francis Galton, and he felt that human beings should take evolution in their own hands and that the most talented individuals, the most healthy individuals, the most attractive individuals should have more offspring.
There was great concern that people that they considered had poor genes were reproducing faster than the people they considered had good genes.
They felt that a medical solution might be the proper one. This is what led to the sterilization movement.
It resulted in sterilization of mentally ill people, sterilization of retarded people, sterilization of people we don't like politically and sociologically. So the problem is not with genetics. The problem is a pretend phony genetics used to justify inhumane social policies.
Embora nunca se provasse ser mais do que uma teoria, no início do século XX a eugenia espalhara-se a quase 30 países. Desde a Inglaterra ao Brasil, México, Suécia, Rússia e em particular aos Estados Unidos, onde a esterilização forçada era amplamente praticada.
Eugenics movement in Germany was somewhat different than the eugenics movement in the United States in that there were many more physicians and psychiatrists. Alfred Plutz is one of the pioneers in the German eugenics movement and how to control the population of those whom he considered inferior. In 1905, along with his brother-in-law, Ernst Rudin, he established the first organization for racial hygiene.
Alle Nationen haben sich mit einer außergewöhnlich großen Menge an minderwertigen, schwachen, kranken und Verkrüppelten abzugeben. Durch kluge Gesetze über Sterilisation würden wir auch in der Lage sein, den vernünftigsten Weg der Zeugung herbeizuführen.
Hitler admirava particularmente o eugenista americano Madison Grant. Hitler proclamou que o livro de Grant, O Fim da Grande Raça, era a sua Bíblia pessoal. No seu próprio livro, A Minha Luta, Hitler aclamou a eugenia como a ciência que reconstruiria a Alemanha.
Körperlich oder geistig gesund ist, dem ist es nicht erlaubt, seine Krankheit an seine Kinder weiterzugeben. Das Recht auf persönliche Freiheit wird durch seine Pflicht, die Rasse zu beschützen, eingeschränkt.
The German eugenicists welcomed the Nazi advent to power because the Nazi program could fund the very programs that they had in mind. The Nazis gave them political support, financial support, and conversely, the psychiatrists gave the Nazis a medical justification for their genocidal policies.
Something like 40% of German psychiatrists had joined the SS by 1933. They weren't forced into the SS. They just joined it naturally because the beliefs were very, very similar.
Rudin and his work led directly to the decision to move from sterilization to murder.
O seu plano era simples. Primeiro, convencer o público que os indesejáveis débeis mentais queriam escapar ao fardo da sua existência, mas não podiam expressá-lo, e que matá-los era um ato de piedade. Depois, alargar a definição de inferior para incluir as testemunhas de Jeová, judeus, ciganos, homossexuais, todos indignos de viver. Os psiquiatras produziram filmes de propaganda conhecidos como filmes de matança nazi, projetados nos 5.300 cinemas da Alemanha.
Geisteskrankheit ist als ein Erbübel eine der größten Gefahren für die Volksgesundheit. Irrtum ist, dass sich solche Kranken glücklich fühlen und am Leben hängen. Sie haben überhaupt kein Daseinsbewusstsein. Wer von ihr befallen wird, dem ist die schwerste Last des Schicksals auferlegt. Ein Dasein ohne Leben.
It first started with passive violence, which is starvation. It then intensified to lethal injections, and finally it developed into systematic gassing and cremation.
A sua sede foi estabelecida em Berlim com o infame nome de código T4.
T4 program was named after Tiergarten 4, which essentially resulted over a period of time in the murder of about 70,000 people who were deemed mentally retarded, emotionally distraught, or physically handicapped by the Germans. They were called life unworthy of living.
O assassinato foi experimentado em hospitais psiquiátricos da Alemanha e chegou depois aos campos de concentração, com os psiquiatras alemães mais importantes como executores. Paul Nietzsche, o diretor do T4, declarou:
Das Aussortieren in den Konzentrationslagern lief etwa genauso ab wie in den Nervenheilanstalten. Und mit selbigen Erfassungsbögen.
6 million Jews died in concentration camps and as a result of Nazi extermination policies. Rudin congratulated Hitler for making his, that is Rudin's, 30-year dream come true.
Depois da rendição nazi, foi realizado um Tribunal Internacional de Justiça para julgar a psiquiatria pelos seus crimes de guerra. Mas os psiquiatras americanos, temendo um golpe permanente no futuro da psiquiatria, intervieram, colocando a culpa nos quantos psiquiatras alemães.
There were some doctors who were prosecuted, but very few. Ernst Rudin returned to Switzerland at the end of the war. He did not serve any prison time.
One of the strangest things of all about the legacy of Nazi science is that some of the nastiest psychiatric eugenicists at the end of the war went back to work either in Germany or sometimes in the United States.
O que começou como um plano psiquiátrico para eliminar humanidade indesejável, espalhara-se agora pelo mundo civilizado e foi responsável pelo assassinato de 11 milhões de pessoas. Nunca levados perante a justiça, os psiquiatras, como irão ver, continuaram a promover a eugenia por todo o mundo. E hoje vemos os resultados no racismo, na miséria humana e interminável conflito social.
After World War II, a new eugenics was resurrected out of the bones and ashes of the old eugenics. The eugenics movement has been at the forefront to establish a new scientific racism that justifies oppression and exploitation and racism.
De facto, o racismo é inseparável das raízes da psiquiatria.
The entire history of psychiatry, beginning with scientific conclusions that were made in the 1830s, was an effort to prove the intellectual inferiority of African Americans.
Benjamin Rush is the father of modern psychiatry, and he is the one that gave us the term nigritude. He said that all blacks have inherited this disease, and this particular disease, it caused them to be inferior. In addition to that, it was the reason why it was very important that blacks remain segregated and separate from whites so that whites did not inherit this disease.
Ao afirmar que a negridão era uma forma de lepra, Rush justificou a segregação como uma necessidade médica e isso tornou-se um argumento para continuar a escravatura.
The fact that you have brutalized a whole group of people had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with some genetic link and that basically you were just a diseased person, so when a slave master wanted to get rid of a recalcitrant slave, they could just say, oh, well, they're suffering from this disease.
Drapetomania, that is the name of the mental disorder that was contrived by Samuel Cartwright, who said that blacks have a mental disorder if they had a desire to run away from slavery.
Running away became such a common problem that psychiatrists attempted to give that a disease. He says, but that's a cure for that. And the answer was, the question was, well, what's the cure for that? Frequent whippings, frequent whippings. You'd be surprised how that disease clears up when the lash is put in place of their excuses.
Depois da escravatura ter sido abolida, o racismo psiquiátrico não só persistiu, mas intensificou-se. O American Journal of Psychiatry proclamou oficialmente que os negros, sendo descendentes de selvagens e canibais, eram deficientemente preparados para a civilização superior, enquanto a sua pseudociência da eugenia aumentava as suas atividades racistas.
There is a clear and long and intimate connection between the eugenics movement and the Ku Klux Klan. Harry Laughlin, who was the Carnegie Institution's director of the Eugenics Record Office, had a close relationship to the Ku Klux Klan through the publication of a book called White America. which was written by a major Klan leader. So Laughlin wrote a glowing review of the book in the Eugenics News. And at the same time, you have the Ku Klux Klan using eugenics to justify their racist goals.
Mas o racismo psiquiátrico não era exclusivo dos Estados Unidos. Alguns dos piores abusos do século XX aconteceram na África do Sul, onde o governo adotou as mesmas teorias e práticas racistas utilizadas por Hitler. Isto não foi coincidência. O primeiro-ministro havia estudado eugenia como aluno de psicologia na Alemanha dos anos 20, influenciada por nazismos.
Dr. Henrik Verwoerd is regarded as the architect of apartheid. He saw South Africa as a divided state with whites, blacks and brown people living in totally separate areas, with black people having no rights whatsoever.
Com o apartheid implementado, os psiquiatras estabeleceram hospitais mentais por todo o país, que de facto não eram mais do que campos de escravos.
These places operated under a private company by the name of Smith Mitchell and Company. They were saving money through the cheap accommodation for psychiatric patients while making massive fortune out of money that Parliament had appropriated for medication. So it was a corrupt system.
Quando esta operação foi finalmente exposta, descobriu-se que 67 mil presos morreram. Enquanto que, ao mesmo tempo, os psiquiatras tinham cobrado 117 milhões de dólares em fundos do governo da África do Sul. A Organização Mundial da Saúde publicou um relatório declarando que a psiquiatria cultivava o racismo e que o apartheid tinha um equivalente à posse e comercialização de escravos. Em 1971, nos Estados Unidos, o psiquiatra Louis Jolly West continuou o legado do racismo da psiquiatria, preparando uma experiência secreta de terapia de aversão chamada Centro de Violência. O seu plano, financiado pelo governo, implantar elétrodos nos cérebros de homens afro-americanos e hispânicos para lhes dar choques se mostrassem qualquer comportamento violento. E se isso não funcionasse, castrá-los quimicamente com drogas. Quando a proposta racista de West enfrentou a indignação do público, o plano foi rapidamente arquivado. Embora as imparáveis teorias racistas da psiquiatria fossem neutralizadas, não foram detidas. Em 1994, o psicólogo Richard Herrnstein foi o coautor da Curva do Sino, afirmando provar que os negros eram geneticamente incapacitados e, portanto, inferiores aos brancos.
The bell curve really argues a very old eugenics idea. It argues that people are born with different kinds of intellectual abilities, that these are inborn pretty much at birth. It goes back to the notion that somehow black people are genetically and biologically inferior to white people as a way to justify what was really its programs of social racism and social sexism. And you see that kind of thinking going on in public school testing and IQ testing and educational testing and tracking.
And this new tool fit into that old mold. It was a new tool that could prove the intellectual inferiority of African Americans.
The psychiatric profession has done great damage, certainly in the past, and far too many in the present, too, to subvert democracy and perpetuate racial stereotypes, even more, deep racism in society.
We have to battle against this continual misinformation, disinformation, pseudoscience. It can be repackaged in whatever form or format it is. But if it is based solely upon the color of one's skin and then is the merit of that human being, I just reject it.
E hoje a chama do ódio continua a arder, alimentada por mentiras pseudocientíficas. Este é o legado da psiquiatria, uma justificação para o racismo e pretexto para a repressão política.
Быть верными коммунистическим идеалам, убежденно, с революционной настойчивостью, притворять в жизнь ленинский завет, учиться коммунизму, трудиться самоотверженно, по-коммунистически, всей жизнью своей, утверждать на земле дело Ленина, дело партии, клянемся!
O regime soviético exigia lealdade absoluta. Aqueles que não acatavam a disciplina do partido eram considerados dissidentes e eram chamados inimigos do Estado. Com apenas um sussurro à polícia secreta, eles desapareciam num dos hospitais psiquiátricos especiais. Apesar do risco, os chamados dissidentes colocaram em ação as suas ideias de liberdade.
Я вел жизнь тайную, конспиративную. Никто не знал, что я это делаю. У меня была маленькая подпольная типография, и я стал делать листовки.
Enquanto outros se consideravam cidadãos soviéticos leais.
Я, например, считал, и то уверенно считал, что я один из лучших советских людей. Когда уже даже меня арестовали и написали особо опасный государственный присуд, я рассмеялся. Я при нем, при этом же самом нынешнем генерале, рассмеялся. А он меня вызывает psiquiatra na outra.
De acordo com os psiquiatras soviéticos, todos sofriam de inflexibilidade de convicções, sintoma de uma nova desordem, esquizofrenia indolente.
Вот когда добьешься, тогда я заеду.
Так, до конца пей.
Будет пей, но только я буду с ним. Ребят, не достаньте его.
Давай пей, брат.
Como os seus homólogos noutros países, os psiquiatras soviéticos prescreviam poderosas drogas para curar seus pacientes.
Они никогда их с удовольствием не принимают. И находят пути их не принимать. Мы обязаны просмотреть прием лекарственных продуктов, чтобы больные лекарства дошли до больного. Вот они где-то уже, как говорится, в горле проглатывают, все, ротовая полость чистая. И потом вот такие делают какие-то движения, отрыгивают.
Врач на обходе говорит, как себя чувствуете, Петр Петрович? Я говорю, послушайте, вот, там, когда 5 кубиков галоперидола, туда, например, слюна до полу, там перекошенность вся, значит, одни мышцы растягиваются, другие сокращаются, совершенно ужасные позы, лицо все ужасное, на душе страшно просто. Я человека, вот самое главное, описать это состояние невозможно.
Санитары совершенно безнаказанно могли избивать. По любому поводу. Или вообще без повода. Вот, например, санитар открывает дверь, и вот, если тут ты оказался, например, в проеме двери. И вот этого достаточно было, чтобы, скажем, получить удар. Если больной, скажем, оказывал сопротивление при избиении, то его могли привязать, и привязывали, и избивали, и продолжали избивать уже привязанного.
Проходит, допустим, год-два, там выписывают убийц, выписывают насильников. Михаил, ты бы лучше убил бы кого-нибудь, мне бы легче было тебя отсюда вытолкать. Это было, вот, растало такое чувство безысходности.
De 1967 a 1987, o governo soviético prendeu mais de 2 milhões de pessoas que, por razões políticas, foram diagnosticadas mentalmente doentes e foram obrigadas a receber tratamento psiquiátrico. Ainda hoje, a psiquiatria continua a ser a ferramenta de coação aceita pelos governos de todo o mundo.
What we've learned is that in Gitmo or Guantanamo Bay, that we had teams of healthcare professionals called the biscuit teams, behavioral scientists, psychologists, working with the military to advise them on how far you could push a prisoner. There are abuses that have been documented around the world. We have healthcare professionals who have committed potentially acts of treason within their medical ethics. And there's nobody supervising that. There's nobody making them stand accountable to their medical ethics.
Mas os psiquiatras nunca reservaram a tortura física e mental exclusivamente para os presos políticos. Através da história, deram-lhe uma nova imagem e venderam-na ao público como terapia. Começando na década de 1920, os psiquiatras adotaram uma nova série de procedimentos que afirmavam funcionar ao ocasionar dano intencional ao cérebro.
Manfred Sackel had this notion that he could kill just the bad brain cells, that somehow we have good brain cells, we have bad brain cells. So if you give people enough insulin, you kill those bad brain cells, and if the person survived this epilepsy, they would be better off for it.
Apesar das convulsões terem causado graves danos na medula espinal a 40% dos pacientes, Sackel apontou para o estado infantil deles e declarou o seu tratamento um êxito. Foram construídas salas de insulina nos hospitais e a terapia de coma transformou-se num grande negócio. Para não ficar atrás, Ladislaus von Meduna, da Hungria, acreditava que ele conseguia erradicar a doença mental, provocando convulsões danosas ao cérebro, com uma droga chamada metrazol.
He noticed his epileptics had no mental health problems, and his mental health patients, his psychiatric patients, seemed to have no epilepsy, and so he thought doing one would obviate the other.
The theory was that epilepsy and schizophrenia couldn't coexist in the same brain, and that if epilepsy was induced, that a seizure was caused, it would, quote, drive out the schizophrenia. There's no scientific basis for this whatsoever.
O metrazol era rápido e lucrativo. Numa manhã, um só psiquiatra podia dar choques químicos a 50 pacientes, induzindo um estado dócil e manipulável. Em 1939, o metrazol era tão popular entre os psiquiatras e o seu staff que era usado em 70% dos hospitais dos Estados Unidos e em quase todos os demais países do mundo. O êxito financeiro da insulina e do metrazol motivou o desenvolvimento de um método ainda mais lucrativo para provocar convulsões que danificam o cérebro.
How is electric shock therapy done?
We use these electrodes. We place them on the patient's head like this. And then by means of this machine, we place a controlled electric current through the brain, just for a fraction of a second. The patient doesn't feel it.
A história por trás desta cura milagrosa começou num matadouro em Roma.
In Italy, in 1938, two Italian psychiatrists decided to observe that before slaughtering pigs, in order to make the pigs more docile, they would apply electrodes to their temples that were hooked up to wall current, and that this stunned the pigs, but it didn't kill them, and they could then slaughter them. Well, this gave them the encouragement to try inducing convulsions with electricity.
We would see teeth falling out, broken spines, bones knocked out of joint, broken bones, and people even getting internal organ damage from being restrained while they were having these uncontrolled writhing seizures, convulsions.
Many patients have been returned to their homes and jobs who might still be here if it were not for this helpful form of treatment.
Tendo vendido com êxito o dano cerebral como uma cura, os psiquiatras procuraram maneiras mais precisas para visar o cérebro. Isto foi iniciado em 1848, quando uma explosão fez atravessar uma barra de aço na cabeça de Phineas Gage, operário ferroviário de Vermont. Embora Gage tenha sobrevivido, a sua personalidade alterou-se drasticamente. 70 anos depois, o neurologista português Egas Muniz tentaria obter um resultado similar perfurando o crânio de um paciente e despejando álcool puro no cérebro, matando o tecido dos lobos frontais. Muniz chamou este novo procedimento lobotomia. O Dr. Walter J. Freeman tornar-se-ia o praticante de lobotomias mais infame. Descobriu que podia fazê-las mais depressa sem ter de perfurar o crânio.
There was no anesthesia, and he would just lift up the eye and stick nothing more than an ice pick right into the brain, right under the orbital bone, and then just rake the thing back and forth until he was satisfied that he had caused enough disruption of brain tissue, and then pull it out.
Freeman viajou pelo país no seu lobo automóvel, mutilando o cérebro dos seus pacientes em palco ou às vezes no próprio veículo.
And he would pull up and offer lobotomies to people, get referrals from the local doctors, or sometimes people didn't even go through doctors. They'd go right to the lobotomobile, and he would just do the brain-damaging procedure right there.
Quando os seus privilégios cirúrgicos foram revogados depois de ter causado uma morte ao seu último paciente na mesa de operações, Freeman já tinha realizado ou supervisionado mais de 3.500 lobotomias, nas quais ele mesmo admitiu que mais de 25% das vítimas tinham sido deixadas num estado vegetativo.
They lobotomized 1 million people in the 40s and the 50s and beginning of the 60s until they came to the conclusion that this was a destructive treatment.
Mas ainda que as curas milagrosas fossem rapidamente denunciadas como fraudes que prejudicavam o cérebro, os psiquiatras mantinham-se um passo adiante, inventando novas formas de psicocirurgia e apresentando-as como avanços médicos.
I completely shudder from head to toe. And that's what I heard in my head when he drilled something in my brain.
Northwest, actually, the centre home.
So I had to do that.
Yeah, why did you have to do that?
I went, oh, funny and all.
Did you?
My head all shook inside.
Oh dear.
Oh, my head shook inside.
Yes, why?
Everything shook, my eyes, everything, my teeth.
Oh, that's well,
That was grievous bodily harm done to my brain. And nobody has the right anyway to play God with somebody's brain.
The whole operation took about 8.5 hours, and they kept me awake for every second of it, and I remember every second of it. And I still remember it to this day because I have this operation every day of my life. Whether I like it or not, I have it.
Os psiquiatras ainda falam dos benefícios da lobotomia, um tratamento que lhes dá uma receita de $31 milhões anuais. Porém, devido à má reputação da lobotomia, os psiquiatras apressaram-se a pôr novamente em evidência o eletrochoque. Foi rebatizado tratamento por eletrochoques. Hoje dão anestesia ao paciente para anular os seus gritos e agentes paralisantes para evitar ver as contrações de agonia.
The main misconception that people have about ECT is that it's new and improved. The new and improved refers strictly to these cosmetic improvements because, in fact, they make it easier on the witnesses. The person isn't shaking all over the table. They're paralyzed now. It isn't new. It isn't improved. It is worse.
Every 10 years or so there tends to be, first of all, a denial that it causes any harm. Secondly, an acknowledgement that it might have caused harm, but here's a whole new approach, and now this one is blameless, without any research to back it up.
The ECT machine can produce anywhere from 50 to 400 volts. It's the kind of energy that we use for industrial machinery that might be in a steel mill or a printing press, some large piece of machinery. It's an extraordinary amount of energy and it causes a great deal of damage.
E embora sejam publicadas muitas histórias de prisioneiros que foram fisicamente maltratados com eletrochoques, a quantidade de eletricidade aplicada pelos psiquiatras para a ECT é até 33 vezes maior. Esse dano é normalmente dirigido aos mais vulneráveis. 2/3 dos que receberam eletrochoque são mulheres que foram diagnosticadas com síndrome pré-menstrual, o transtorno da menopausa ou depressão pós-parto. Metade dos pacientes tratados com eletrochoque é idosa, uma vez que são elegíveis para cuidados governamentais de saúde aos 65 anos. 360% mais de idosos americanos recebem tratamento de eletrochoques do que aqueles com idade inferior a 64. E onde chega tudo isto? A 40 mil mortes e a outros mais que são incontáveis, com tal dano cerebral que não têm esperança de recuperar uma vida normal. Por um total de $12 de eletricidade, os psiquiatras só nos Estados Unidos geram uma receita de $5 mil milhões. Mas a próxima cura milagrosa que os psiquiatras adicionaram ao seu arsenal deu-lhes mais dinheiro do que nunca, já que é mais rápida, mais barata e pode converter cada homem, mulher e criança num paciente para toda a vida. No princípio dos anos 50, os psiquiatras descobriram mais uma cura milagrosa. Uma substância química originalmente criada para matar parasitas nos porcos. O seu descobrimento dificultava as funções cerebrais de modo similar a colocar um picador de gelo na cavidade ocular. Era um tratamento antigo com um novo disfarce.
With the advent of these new tranquilizing drugs, it seems not too much to say that we're on the verge of an entirely new era in the treatment of mental illness.
Ao chamar-lhe lobotomia química, o psiquiatra canadense Heinz Lehmann descreveu a Thorazine como um comprimido fácil de tomar com o mesmo efeito que a psicocirurgia, mas sem a confusão.
Thorazine provided psychiatry with the entry into mainstream medicine. It had its magic bullet. If I'm a psychiatrist and I have to spend an hour talking to someone in psychotherapy, there's only so much I can charge for that hour. But if I can come in, give you a pill, and send you back out in 15 minutes or 10 minutes, that's a much more efficient use of my time monetarily.
O que os psiquiatras não disseram ao público foi que a Thorazine causava a condição neurológica conhecida como discinesia tardia.
And that's a neurological syndrome where you have muscle twitches, abnormal jerks, which are uncontrolled, and they either last for a long time or sometimes they're permanent. So that's very clear, very well recognized long-term or permanent brain damage from these medications.
Mr. Blount has virtually no signs of his original illness now. The signs that the movements of his mouth are completely side effects of the drugs that he was on for 20 years. Mr. Blount is quite rational. He understands what's going on. And if you're patient, he can carry on a very rational conversation with you.
Even when you remove the drug, it may still remain. It means you have caused a permanent disabling of the brain. In the late 50s, you get the first signs of it, people starting to worry about it. But it's not until the late 70s that psychiatrists start warning their patients about it. 20 years.
O fabricante da Thorazine, a SmithKline French, tinha boas razões para ocultar as más notícias. Só no primeiro ano, a SKF teve um rendimento de 3.000% sobre o seu investimento original. Com o público e a imprensa sem conhecerem os efeitos secundários severos e incapacitantes, médicos e psiquiatras proeminentes reuniram-se em Porto Rico para assentarem as bases para difundir as drogas psiquiátricas no futuro. O psiquiatra Dr. Nathan Klein escreveu isto no relatório final da conferência.
The present breadth of drug use may be almost trivial when we compare it to the possible number of chemical substances that will be available for the control of selective aspects of man's life in the year 2000.
O Dr. Klein encabeçou um movimento que inundou com novas drogas psiquiátricas maravilhosas o mercado mundial, apoiado por uma massiva máquina publicitária que gastou centenas de milhões de dólares. A psiquiatria era agora uma indústria de narcotraficantes. Em 1970, a Associação Psiquiátrica Americana dependia tanto do dinheiro das companhias farmacêuticas que 30% da sua receita anual vinha de anúncios destas nas suas revistas oficiais.
So we had money flowing to trade organizations, we had money flowing to the doctors, and to their journals. Well, we all know that that is going to influence how they think.
The majority of National Institute of Mental Health and National Institute of Health scientists are getting more money from drug companies on the side than their tax-based salary.
Com tanto dinheiro para ser feito, tudo o que os psiquiatras necessitavam era uma teoria científica para justificá-lo. A solução? Um relatório oficial que declarava que todos os problemas mentais derivados do chamado desequilíbrio químico do cérebro requeriam drogas para corrigi-lo.
This chemical imbalance is one of the greatest fallacies ever foisted upon patients and the public. There is no chemical test to show an imbalance related to any psychiatric disease, whether it's depression, anxiety, what have you.
The chemical imbalance is for the benefit of the psychiatrist. It has to be there so that psychiatrists can treat it.
Mas as fraudulentas teorias do desequilíbrio químico não podiam ocultar as crescentes experiências de efeitos secundários comuns e aterradores, tais como a acatesia.
Akathisia is like an extreme inner nervous agitation. People describe it as wanting to crawl out of their own skins. And this happens with great frequency, and it is absolutely, totally well understood to be associated with suicide and violence and homicide.
Após anos de relatórios desses efeitos secundários e incontáveis casos de violência, automutilação e morte, em 1991 especialistas de saúde, legisladores e o público finalmente obrigaram a FDA a ordenar uma investigação.
I know with absolute certainty that if Charles had any idea of the side effects of Prozac, he would never have taken it.
I had two sons, David Lee, age 8, Billy 16, a wife 20 years, all gone. I'll tell you why. After being on Prozac for 21 days, my wife shot and killed both of these two boys right here. She turned the gun to herself and shot herself twice.
I took the 9mm automatic, sat down on the bed and put the gun to my head. And I blew a 4-inch hole out the back of my arm instead of my head. Thank God I was a lousy shot. Had someone looked further into Prozac, steps could have been taken to avoid it.
O que se supunha que fosse uma sessão imparcial era um painel de psiquiatras que, na sua grande maioria, tinha laços financeiros com companhias farmacêuticas.
They basically couldn't find an expert, a doctor, a psychiatrist, at a leading medical school who basically in some way or another didn't have a consulting agreement, hadn't taken money from the pharmaceutical companies.
I do not find from the evidence today that there is credible evidence to support a conclusion that antidepressant drugs cause the emergence and or the intensification of suicidality and or other violent behaviors.
500 deaths, 33 murder cases, and over 20,000 adverse side effects. Would you like to tell me why this drug is still on the market?
Is there an alliance, an unholy alliance between the psychiatric community, the pharmaceutical industry, and the FDA? And the answer is yes.
Esta perigosa aliança tornou-se muito evidente em 1997, quando as companhias farmacêuticas persuadiram a FDA a permitir-lhes anunciar diretamente ao público. Com os psiquiatras a proporcionarem aprovação médica, em apenas 3 anos, a venda de drogas psiquiátricas subiu em flecha quase 2,5 vezes. Quando o número de vítimas de violência e o suicídio subiram até às nuvens, a indignação do público obrigou a FDA a publicar etiquetas com advertências sobre os antidepressivos. Mas então já haviam passado 13 anos, tinham sido feitos milhares de milhões de dólares e os psiquiatras comercializavam as suas novas drogas milagrosas. Mais de 8% da população mundial tomou drogas psiquiátricas, baseadas na falsa ciência e endossadas por reguladores que são pagos. Os seus medicamentos prejudiciais obtêm receitas brutas perto dos 27 mil milhões de dólares por ano. E enquanto os psiquiatras encontravam uma forma de diagnosticar e drogar todas as pessoas no planeta, numa outra frente, eles continuavam o seu assalto contra as nossas liberdades mais pessoais. Os psiquiatras exigem o direito absoluto de determinar o que é melhor para os chamados doentes mentais. Apesar de tudo, os doentes mentais são malucos e não são capazes de avaliar o seu próprio tratamento. Para fazer cumprir a sua autoridade sobre os demais e manter os seus hospitais cheios e a níveis rentáveis, os psiquiatras usam um método chamado internamento involuntário.
When you go to a real doctor, say a family doctor or a cardiologist, a patient always has the right to refuse treatment. So there is no such thing as involuntary treatment when it comes to clinical medicine as practiced by real doctors. Psychiatrists, of course, believe that people can be treated against their will.
Em 1956, o psiquiatra Winfred Overholser apresentou um plano ao Congresso que tinha a intenção de levar o internamento involuntário a um novo patamar. O plano era comprar 400 mil hectares de terreno selvagem no Alasca, construir um imenso hospital mental e mudar as leis de internamento para que se pudesse enfiar qualquer pessoa com um simples assento de um psiquiatra. O projeto de lei passou rapidamente pela Câmara dos Representantes, mas quando o público se inteirou do plano, enfureceu-se, referindo-se-lhe como Sibéria EUA. O Senado cancelou rapidamente o projeto de lei. Mas ainda que o fim do projeto de lei em Sibéria deteve os seus planos em grande escala, o internamento involuntário continuava a ser o método mais eficaz e lucrativo para encher os hospitais psiquiátricos.
Again, the person has committed no crime and has no trial and is sent directly to a mental hospital, which is really a prison.
How many people go to an insane asylum and say, please lock me up? Doctors don't lock up anybody. Psychiatrists lock you up.
Até mesmo as crianças podem ser levadas para longe dos pais com pouco recurso legal.
They just invaded our home. They came in with officers. Our kids were scared. You know, they come in with pieces of paper and say, you're giving us your kids. And it's like, you know, how can they just come in and do that?
She said, you could be arrested for medical neglect. And I said, but how was that when, you know, this is my child? And I see that he doesn't need that much medication. Why would you threaten me with something like that?
At 10 p.m., 2 policemen and 2 social workers came to my house and took all 4 of my kids away.
Uma vez internados num hospital psiquiátrico, os pacientes são drogados e controlados.
The more a person objects, the more this objection is construed as symptom of a mental illness.
At which point the person would be locked up in restraints. There would be the ankle, the knee, the waist, the head, the wrist, and the shoulder restraints. And if when that process was happening, if there was almost any resistance at all, the person then would be medicated to a point where they would almost be knocked out.
We had one case where they actually took a patient in a seclusion room and beat him up. Then they lied about it to the services that investigated. So it's a pretty wide range of abuse issues that we've encountered.
O pessoal psiquiátrico provoca violência nos seus pacientes para poder cobrar das companhias de seguro até $1.600 diários por cada paciente imobilizado.
A patient would resist diagnosis, resist treatment, and also want to leave treatment while they were at the hospital. And invariably, every time, that person's situation would be exacerbated until they were put in constraints and medicated, at which point there would be documented reasons to keep that person in treatment.
O fardo de tais somas reclamadas é cobrado diretamente ao público, através de elevados prémios em seguros de saúde. Quanto às vítimas, o efeito é traumático, por vezes letal.
16-year-old Rochelle Claiborne died in Laurel Ridge's care last August. The state report shows during the restraint, quote, Rochelle stated several times she could not breathe.
In almost all respects, the staff behaved appropriately, followed the standards.
Ao aproveitarem-se de leis frágeis ou vagas sobre o internamento, os psiquiatras e o seu staff quase nunca são criminalmente acusados por agressão com lesões e assassinato.
He begged me to take him home, take him out of there, that they were treating him wrongly, and he didn't want to stay there. And I got a call that there had been an accident, that they held him down until he couldn't breathe anymore. I wish I would have listened to him, take him out of there before it had happened. And then I miss him every day. And I wish I could have him back, but I can't.
Até hoje, ninguém foi acusado pelo assassinato da criança. Os idosos são alvo importante no abuso psiquiátrico. Com o tratamento de idosos em hospitais mentais, que custa às companhias de seguro do governo e privadas mais de $29 mil milhões por ano.
Unwarranted commitment has occurred. It wouldn't have occurred if the people hadn't had insurance. The proof of that pudding is generally in how fast they get out once the insurance runs out.
Involuntary commitment is a form of psychiatric slavery, where persons are treated as if they're property and they are deprived of liberty, and people are making money in the process.
As long as we have involuntary mental hospitalization, psychiatry is a prison work. It's a crime against humanity. It is not medicine.
A todos os minutos do dia, alguém é internado involuntariamente num hospital psiquiátrico. E se acredita que é algo que não lhe pode acontecer a si ou a alguém que conheça, pense melhor. Só durante o tempo que demorou a ver este programa, 5 pessoas foram internadas contra a sua vontade. Com mais de $1 bilhão destinados aos hospitais dos Estados Unidos desde 1965, os psiquiatras conseguiram um negócio lucrativo, escondido atrás de uma interpretação discutível da lei. Mas com frequência, alguns psiquiatras cometem crimes demasiado flagrantes para podermos ignorá-los.
If
FBI has raided the headquarters of one of the nation's largest operators of psychiatric hospitals.
Hundreds complained of overbilling, misdiagnosed conditions, and insurance fraud.
Investigators say they found more than 5,000 similar cases in all 50 states.
Psychiatrists clearly are getting rich.
Psychiatrists traded drugs for sex, filed false insurance claims, and exploited patients sexually.
We have uncovered some of the most elaborate, aggressive, creative, deceptive, immoral, and illegal schemes being used to fill empty hospital beds with insured and paying patients.
Todos os psiquiatras fazem um juramento de seguir um código de conduta ética, de pôr o cuidado dos seus pacientes acima de tudo. Mas de todas as disciplinas médicas, a psiquiatria tem o pior registro de fraude e abuso.
Psychiatry is almost a license to print money. If a doctor were clever enough, and many of them are, there's no reason that they couldn't make at least $500,000 a year fraudulently and get away with it in psychiatry.
I don't purport to have deposed every psychiatrist in Las Vegas. I can tell you for a fact I haven't. Maybe I've deposed half, and by and large they were a dishonest, deceitful, lying bunch of people.
As suas práticas de faturação duvidosa e criminosa são tão frequentes que os investigadores de seguros têm uma frase de gíria para isso: o agitar da Califórnia e aperto de mão de $100.
$100 handshake is when usually a patient is institutionalized. Psychiatrist, psychologist will visit that person, shake hands with them, say, hello, I'm Dr. so-and-so, I'm taking care of your problem here, and then leaves.
They might have 10 or 20 patients there. They bill an hour for each one, and they might be in the hospital for a total of 30 minutes. So 20 patients, 20 hours, and they'd send the bills off to Medicaid.
We see that most of the victims of recovered memory therapy were women who had excellent health insurance, whether it was government insurance or private insurance, because many insurance policies wouldn't pay for this kind of long-term nonsense. So those people were targeted because of the nature of the insurance that they had.
Todos os anos, a indústria psiquiátrica dos Estados Unidos defrauda as seguradoras de governo e privadas em $40 mil milhões, ao utilizar quaisquer meios possíveis para enganar o público.
There were some advertisements, very seductive advertisements, for people wanting to lose weight and were having problems losing weight. And they would be given, all expenses paid to go to a particular spa. But when they got to this spa and went in and signed in, it wasn't a spa, it was a psychiatric center. And then they couldn't get out.
What instead they received massive doses of mind-altering drugs, and they were kept for a lengthy period of time, and their insurance carrier was billed tremendous amounts of money for something that was unnecessary.
Mas as suas mentiras vão mais além dos seus departamentos e chegam aos tribunais, onde, como testemunhas pagas, tiram qualquer coisa para cobrar os seus honorários.
A psychiatric expert who will have one opinion in one scenario and a completely opposite opinion in another scenario based on which law firm or governmental agency is paying for his time.
The psychiatrist, on one hand, will tell the public that suicide can be prevented, but will go into court and tell a jury that suicide cannot be prevented. And then once you show his prior inconsistent statements, you also show that he is paid very well by pharmaceuticals, then the jury says, you know what, we're not so sure about you because you just lied to us.
Adicionamos à sua cobiça, desonestidade e avareza os seus crimes sexuais. Contando que são apenas 6% dos médicos do país, os psiquiatras são responsáveis por 1/3 dos delitos sexuais cometidos por médicos.
It has happened so often that by the mid-80s, the insurance companies who insure physicians across America started writing sexual claims out of the policies altogether. That's how common it was.
The system was so broken that more than 25,000 complaints had been registered, but nothing acted upon. When a psychiatrist has a patient, a female patient, and abuse them sexually, there's a very high probability they'll get away with it.
I've seen many cases where the mental health professional becomes very disturbed and is using very strange and odd treatments, and that can go on for many years with no one finding out about it because it's not very public. It's quite private. Things happen behind closed doors.
Infelizmente, os seus crimes sexuais frequentemente envolvem crianças. Um bom exemplo é o Dr. C. Markham Barry, aparentemente um membro muito respeitado da sua comunidade. Mas tudo isso acabou quando foi preso por acusação de assédio sexual a crianças. Carrinhas carregadas de pornografia infantil foram retiradas da sua casa. E a investigação subsequente descobriu que ele havia abusado sexualmente de antigos pacientes, rapazes de 7 a 17 anos, os quais fotografou e dos quais abusou sexualmente. Tudo era parte do que o Estado chamou de os 50 anos de aventuras sexuais infantis desenfreadas e não detectadas de Barry. Este não é um incidente isolado. É o caráter cuidadosamente mascarado dos membros desta profissão. Em todas as cidades, estados e países, serão encontrados psiquiatras a cometer violações, abuso sexual, assassinato e fraude. E como verá, toda a credibilidade da psiquiatria depende da maior fraude de todas.
I was diagnosed with a chemical imbalance, manic depression.
They diagnosed me with having ADD.
They told me I had conduct disorder.
ADHD.
Mild depression.
Major depression.
Manic depressive.
Borderline personality disorder.
Compulsive disorder.
Anxiety, depression, and schizophrenia and depression.
Sleep disorder. Identity problem disorder.
There's no such thing as mental disorder. A mental disorder is whatever someone says it is, and if the person saying this is a mental disorder has enough power and influence, then people believe, oh, that's a mental disorder.
Mas não se pode ter poder ou influência sem credibilidade. Então a psiquiatria fabrica a sua.
It's based on a grab bag of checklists for disorders that are published in a book called the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. There are no statistics in this book, by the way. That just makes it sound more scientific.
They create this cluster of disease, and they get together and they vote. Is this a disease? All in favor, say aye.
It's marketed as a scientifically based document. Now, the American Psychiatric Association, which publishes the DSM, do a lot of work to create an aura of scientific precision around the DSM, but it's not scientifically based.
Desde a primeira edição do DSM, o número de desordens mentais que foram votadas para serem incluídas no Manual de Diagnóstico de Psiquiatria cresceu para 374. E com cada nova desordem, os psiquiatras criam outra forma de defraudar o público.
If you have 27 ways to bill in the DSM, that's 27 ways to bill. If you have 300, that's 300 ways to bill. So you can pretty much find anyone walking on the street that could fit into a DSM somehow.
When you build insurance companies, you can't say the word. You've got to say a number. And they have numbers for the most ridiculous things. You know, like arguing with your mother or peeing in the bed.
Adolescent rebellion disorder is an official psychiatric diagnosis. Arithmetic learning disorder is an official psychiatric diagnosis. General anxiety disorder is a recent diagnosis.
For each one, there is a 5-digit code with a decimal point. Now, the implication of that is if I have illness 403.16, that's different in some important and scientifically proven way from someone who has 403.17. And nothing could be further from the truth.
Por incrível que pareça, enquanto apresentam o DSM ao mundo como científico, os psiquiatras admitem livremente a sua absoluta falta de base científica.
We have no diagnostic reliable markers for almost any illness there is in the DSM.
What we're testing for in psychiatry, it's hard to say because there's nothing specifically.
But as far as a test that's clinically useful,
Basically, we're not there yet.
We don't have any laboratory tests that we can use to determine whether somebody does or doesn't have a mental illness.
There are no good biological tests for detecting mental illness.
There is no test, there's no biopsy you can do.
There is no chemical test right now.
There are no specific tests to confirm the diagnosis or show the improvement, like any blood tests or any x-rays or anything like that.
Oh, in my practice I don't do any tests. I just speak with people and listen to them, and then I make a decision in what kind of illness.
Estes diagnósticos variam tanto como os psiquiatras que os fazem. Nestas cenas de câmara escondida, uma pessoa visitou vários psiquiatras queixando-se dos mesmos sintomas.
I'm extremely unorganized, and I didn't used to be. It's caused problems in the family. It's caused problems getting, I'm self-employed.
You've got ADD, ADHD, you're depressed, and your depression is bipolar depressed.
You have a brain chemistry disorder, and it's probably genetic.
You have a lot of the symptoms of depression.
So it seems like it is a mixed picture. What that means is like we got some depressive symptoms and some, high symptoms.
If you're bipolar, I'll need to give you a mood stabilizer. We don't know. I can't help it.
Considered low-grade bipolar.
You are more of the ADD than ADHD.
And as far as medications for depression, because I would recommend that you start a medication, which are Prozac, Zoloft, Paxil, Celexa.
Usually Propylene XR is pretty good.
I'll give you some Lexapro in the morning and some Trazodone at night.
Lamictal is a better medication for that. It works on your depression also.
But the treatment for any bipolar cycling is the same. Lithium,
Remeron is another one.
Trazodone,
Segretol,
Wellbutrin,
Lexapro,
Lamictal,
Equatroid,
Depakote,
lithium,
Ambien.
You may need an antidepressant also with your Lamictal.
We don't know if I give you a medication if it is going to work or not.
To a certain degree, it's trial and error.
You never know if it's the right drug.
How many people have I cured? Well, there are no real cures right now in psychiatry.
I have cured none of my patients.
We're always challenged by our lack of knowledge.
In fact, we don't know what the causes of mental illness are.
Most mental illnesses, we do not know the cause.
Of course, it would be nice to know exact reasons of disorders, but maybe in the future.
I'm the Director of Research at the American Psychiatric Association. We don't know the etiology of really any of the mental disorders at the present time.
DSM-5 is coming out. It's grown to 10 times its original size, and it labels everybody. I could find 5 diagnoses that would fit you or anybody else.
Compare isto com os métodos de investigação da patologia, uma ciência que descobre doenças reais usando um vasto conjunto de testes de diagnóstico precisos.
We do millions of laboratory tests as well as the structural examination and the microscopic examination. It's a whole series of applied scientific procedures. In the case of psychiatry, there isn't any laboratory tool that can precisely identify a psychiatric disease and allow it to be classified.
It's not as if there's some study of tissue or some study of the body or some study of matter. These are all categories which are made up. They're simply made up. They don't exist in nature. They're decided upon by psychiatrists and voted on.
Os psiquiatras não são os únicos que beneficiam com o DSM. Sempre que seja encontrado um diagnóstico psiquiátrico, encontrar-se-á uma droga psiquiátrica.
The pharmaceutical corporations now contribute enormous sums of money for the education of psychiatric residents and for the support of research by their professors, so that psychiatry today has become in America, has become very largely learning of which drug to use with which disease or disorder.
We need to make sure that we understand the very close interactions among the American Psychiatric Association with its DSM, the pharmaceutical companies, who love the fact that every time there's a new edition of the DSM, there are dozens more categories in there, and so more conditions for the drug companies to say, oh, we've got a pill for that.
Em 2006, Um estudo revelou que 56% de todos os psiquiatras que decidiam que desordens incluir no próximo DSM têm laços financeiros com pelo menos uma companhia farmacêutica. Hoje vemos as consequências. Uma inundação de drogas, cada uma dirigida a uma desordem inventada, que está apoiada por um diagnóstico arbitrário no DSM.
The fact that it is couched in the language of science, without necessarily having any of the scientific data or underpinnings to justify it, is as threatening as anything we've seen today.
E quais são as táticas mais recentes e dispendiosas da psiquiatria para enganar o público imitando a medicina legítima? Os scans cerebrais.
We can scan all the brains we want to. The fact that we see changes in different people's brains, changes in functioning, doesn't mean that we've discovered anything that has its origin in the brain. It just means that we're seeing changes, but it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the brain.
Psiquiatras e psicólogos usam o DSM para etiquetar 450 milhões de pessoas no mundo inteiro como doentes mentais. Um total igual à população da França, Itália, Alemanha, Canadá, Austrália, Reino Unido e Rússia combinadas. Enquanto a venda de drogas psiquiátricas superou os 27 mil milhões de dólares por ano, os fundos dos governos do mundo para esses pacientes dão benefícios brutos à psiquiatria de 440 mil milhões de dólares por ano. E uma grande parte deste dinheiro provém do diagnóstico e das drogas que são receitadas aos mais confiados e vulneráveis.
We have swallowed all manner of poisonous certainties fed us by our parents and school teachers. If the race is to be freed from its crippling burden of good and evil, it must be psychiatrists who take the original responsibility.
A declaração de Brock Chisholm é o ataque psiquiátrico dirigido diretamente ao nosso sistema escolar.
They actually said the purpose was social control. Not to pass on knowledge, not to give him something so that he can go into the world of work.
Em 1950, psiquiatras e psicólogos de todo o mundo reuniram-se na Casa Branca para propor uma reorientação total do sistema público escolar.
The White House Conference on Mental Health in the 1950s was a landmark that served to bolster the idea that schools would serve their communities better as mental health clinics than they would as institutions of learning.
In the early 60s, the world of psychiatry started to really go places in this country. Little by little, it came into our schools, our educational system.
E em 1965 converteu-se em lei. Foi dada a luz verde aos psiquiatras para que etiquetassem e drogassem os estudantes em grande número.
A child is labeled ADD or ADHD the minute he can't sit still for a 10-15 minute period of time, or he talks constantly, or ignores the teacher completely. That will get him and earn him an ADD or ADHD label.
Em 1987, etiquetava-se livremente as crianças com a desordem por déficit de atenção e hiperatividade. Só num ano, diagnosticou-se esta desordem a 500 mil crianças americanas. Em 1994, esse número subiu para 4,4 milhões. Em resposta ao alarme público generalizado pela aparente epidemia de doença mental, os Institutos Nacionais de Saúde financiados pelo governo dos Estados Unidos reuniram um painel de proeminentes médicos e psiquiatras para explicarem aos pais e educadores exatamente o que era essa desordem.
I would like any member of the panel to describe a typical ADHD in terms of symptomatology. Mark, would you like to, since you see them in your practice?
I mean, I think the panel has been frank, and the difficulties here are immense in terms of these. I mean, it is hard. It's very hard to know how to answer this question. They cannot, you know, even when they are as if driven by a motive. There are some good clinical descriptions. And I think, you know, I think the part of the problem is the profession keeps changing the diagnosis.
At this time, we do not have a diagnostic test for ADHD. Therefore, the validity of the disorder continues to be a problem.
Mas esta escandalosa admissão não deteve os psiquiatras das escolas. 2 anos depois, o número de estudantes americanos diagnosticados com a desordem por déficit de atenção e hiperatividade elevou-se para 6 milhões. Hoje, 20 milhões de crianças no mundo foram etiquetadas com algum tipo de desordem de aprendizagem. Um diagnóstico frequentemente feito numa questão de minutos.
We would sit behind a two-way mirror along with the parents. We would then look at the child. We would do small manipulative activities with them to see where their deficit was. It was wrong what we were doing. We were looking at a 5-minute glimpse of this child's life and saying, okay, here you go. Here's a little pill, take it, you'll be fine.
Esses pequenos comprimidos, como a Ritalina, Adderall e Concerta, são classificados pela Agência de Combate às Drogas dos Estados Unidos como substâncias altamente criadoras de dependência, da mesma forma que a cocaína, a heroína e a metanfetamina.
When I was on the Ritalin, it made me just feel like totally different, like I wasn't even who I was.
I was, flipping out, was twitching, going crazy.
I felt like I was out of it all the time, like I wasn't there, I wasn't human.
You're just a zombie, pretty much. You do what you can just to get by and just don't do anything extra.
My mother never teased me, but she thought I really had ADHD and it was wrong, and I had something wrong with me. So I thought she'd feel bad and feel sorry for me if I died, but then again, I thought that she would miss me a lot, and I also love her a little more than I wanted to kill myself. And so I stopped when I realized that.
A abundância de medicamentos receitados criou uma nova fonte de receita para as crianças: vender os seus medicamentos aos seus colegas.
It's called kitty cocaine. They take the Ritalin and they just repackage it and they sell it on campus to the kids because it's like speed.
I figured if I was going to do drugs, I might as well make it worth it. And I ended up doing street drugs, and then I ended up getting into it really bad.
We're looking at marijuana and other things as being gateway drugs, and actually the so-called medications are a greater gateway drug.
The Ritalin drugs are backfiring big time because if the child is already disruptive and he takes cocaine, he's going to be a lot more disruptive after he's taken it. It is not going to calm him down.
Boom! She got on the drugs and her personality changed, her behaviors changed, they became erratic and dark and violent, and it was just a nightmare.
He kept having adverse reactions, becoming very, very angry. He could not control his behavior, he couldn't control his temper.
He was on 5 different psych meds, Prozac and lithium, and he was 7 years old. And he was unable to function. He would have rages and then crying and all kinds of just violent rages, grabbing knives and all of this.
The list includes 15-year-old Kip Kinkle withdrawing from Prozac when he shot 22 classmates, killing 2 after murdering his mother and stepfather at his home in Springfield, Oregon. 18-year-old Jason Hoffman on Effexor and Celexa when he opened fire at his California high school, wounding 5. 15-year-old Sean Cooper on a mix of antidepressants when he shot students in Idaho. And 17-year-old Eric Harris on Luvox when he and partner Dylan Klebold killed 12 classmates and a teacher in the bloodiest school massacre yet, Columbine.
E tudo isto esconde a verdadeira razão pela qual as crianças vão para a escola em primeiro lugar: para aprenderem. Desde 1970, os Estados Unidos caíram do 9º para o 28º lugar no ranking académico internacional. Durante esse mesmo período, o número de estudantes americanos etiquetados com desordens de aprendizagem subiu em flecha e a venda de drogas para a desordem por déficit de atenção e hiperatividade multiplicou-se 32 vezes.
Children don't ask for psychiatric drugs. Children don't ask to be diagnosed. They don't want to be called crazy. So you ask the classic Roman question, legal question, cui bono, who benefits? The people who make the diagnosis.
Psychiatry should actually go into government, that politicians should listen to psychiatrists. Psychiatrists should be in every parliament and should direct and monitor political activities.
Em pouco mais de um século, a psiquiatria infiltrou-se na sociedade à escala global e não foi por acidente.
People aren't aware that in 1940, a prominent British psychiatrist, Colonel J.R. Rees, addressed the National Council on Mental Hygiene and set the agenda for psychiatry for the next 60 years. Since then, psychiatrists have been given authority in nearly every sector of our society, with tragic results.
We must aim to make it permeate every educational activity in our national life. Public life, politics and industry, should all of them be within our sphere of influence. We have made a useful attack upon a number of professions. The two easiest of them, naturally, are the teaching profession and the church. The most difficult are law and medicine.
O colega de Rees, o psiquiatra G. Brock Chisholm, co-fundador da Federação Mundial da Saúde Mental, detalhou mais tarde os planos da psiquiatria.
To achieve world government, it is necessary to remove from the minds of men their individualism, loyalty to family traditions, national patriotism and religious dogmas.
Para implementar o seu plano principal, os psiquiatras americanos convenceram o Congresso dos Estados Unidos de que a doença mental era uma ameaça nacional que apenas eles, com um vasto aumento de fundos, poderiam resolver. E assim começaram os enormes gastos do governo dos Estados Unidos para a investigação psiquiátrica, que subiram de $1 milhão por ano em 1946 a 1,4 mil milhões de dólares hoje, um aumento de mais de 139.000%. À medida que a influência psiquiátrica se espalhava pelos Estados Unidos, espalhava-se também pelo mundo. Por trás de cada crise mundial será encontrada a mão da psiquiatria. Por exemplo, o psiquiatra sérvio Jovan Rašković, que exigiu a limpeza étnica dos croatas e muçulmanos devido à sua firme crença da sua inferioridade racial. O resultado foi a Bósnia na década de 1990, onde o colega de Rašković, o psiquiatra Radovan Karadzic, e o primeiro-ministro Slobodan Milosevic estabeleceram campos de concentração nos Balcãs, onde uma vez mais a tortura massiva, a violação e o assassinato de inocentes ocorreram. Um psiquiatra militar explicou como foi feito.
C'est très difficile tuer millions de personnes. C'est très difficile, techniquement difficile. Les Allemands étaient bons techniciens et ils ne pouvaient pas, ils pouvaient seulement 6 millions de Juifs exterminés. Ils massacrent, par exemple, 100 ou 200 de personnes, ou violent 100 femmes et 100 jeunes filles, pour que les autres sont effrayés et échappent. Alors vous avez le terrain pur.
Com o secular condicionamento de Pavlov mais as técnicas modernas de controle mental, psiquiatras e psicólogos podem converter o homem comum e inclusive crianças em assassinos de massas.
You could train them to use firearms indiscriminately. You could train them to shoot people with very little feeling or thought. You could train them to use abusive and brutalizing procedures in order to obtain information with no hesitancy, with no concern.
É assim que os terroristas são criados. No rescaldo do 11 de setembro, Osama Bin Laden foi caracterizado como o cérebro por detrás dos ataques. Mas o reconhecido estratega e comandante da Al-Qaeda é Ayman al-Zawahiri, educado em Psicologia e Farmacologia na Universidade do Cairo e autor do manual de treino da Al-Qaeda sobre o uso da psiquiatria coerciva. E ao orquestrar as explosões terroristas em Madrid, descobriu-se que Abu Hafiza, um agente da Al-Qaeda, se baseou nestas mesmas técnicas para manipular a mente dos homens.
You can implant memories. Memories are potent sources of motivated behavior. If you implant enough memories of specific kinds, you can shape and change the nature of human thinking and feelings.
And it was thought to be a kind of ultimate weapon, because what greater weapon could there be than control of the human mind?
You can control minds, and you can move people around, particularly when you control their lives. It's easier to control their minds.
When we look at psychiatry and psychology, social control is the primary agenda.
O homem por trás do programa de exames juvenis, o psiquiatra David Schaffer, assessor do Departamento de Defesa dos Estados Unidos.
They're not just screening children to have complete control of the 52 million children in school. They're screening now, and that bill, they will screen their parents, and they will screen all adults in America.
The idea of mass screening for mental illness in the American population, run by a government initiative, is one of the scariest ideas I ever heard of.
Psychiatry is politics, has always been politics. It is politics pure and simple, because psychiatry was always the application of force against people who don't want to be forced.
It's a sad thing, and parents better wake up. Society better wake up, because we're in serious trouble if they don't.
O plano principal da psiquiatria, de infiltrar-se em todos os setores da sociedade, está a tornar-se realidade. Não temos uma epidemia de doença mental, temos uma epidemia de psiquiatria. Há algo que pode e tem de ser feito sobre isto. Fundada em 1969 pela Igreja de Scientology, a Comissão dos Cidadãos para os Direitos Humanos investiga e expõe as violações pela psiquiatria dos direitos humanos. A partir da sua sede internacional em Los Angeles, a CCHR documenta as práticas invasivas e destrutivas da psiquiatria e publica as suas descobertas, disponibilizando-as em 15 línguas. Mais de 8 milhões de exemplares foram distribuídos aos profissionais de saúde, oficiais do governo, educadores e líderes empresariais por todo o mundo. A sede é o local da exibição mundialmente reconhecida Psiquiatria, uma indústria de morte. Centrada sobre 14 filmes documentais, esta moderna exibição apresenta a história da psiquiatria, das suas origens, quando os doentes mentais eram presos como animais, à presente sociedade de dopagem massiva como a cura para desordens inventadas. As versões ambulantes da exibição visitam centenas de cidades em 5 continentes, abrindo o caminho a centenas de milhares para descobrirem por eles a escura verdade por detrás da psiquiatria. O que é hoje o movimento global dos direitos humanos começou há 30 anos com a luta pela liberdade do indivíduo. Victor Ghiori, internado à força num hospital psiquiátrico da Pensilvânia.
He was interviewed by a psychiatrist who said, I can't understand a word this man is saying. He's incoherent. Obviously, a paranoid schizophrenic. Commit him, which they did. Now, he wasn't babbling incoherently. He was speaking Hungarian. We filed a lawsuit against the hospital. In the middle of the case, the doctor, who was the head of the hospital, stands up and he says, we want nothing more to do with Victor Ghiori.
A libertação de Victor Ghiori foi a primeira de milhares pelo mundo com a ajuda da CCHR.
CCHR challenged involuntary commitment laws throughout the United States and internationally, and what we found was that people were being incarcerated without any legal rights.
They had no right to an attorney. They could be drugged, shocked, lobotomized without their consent.
Por exemplo, a Austrália em 1977, onde a CCHR expôs uma prática psiquiátrica chamada cura de sono.
Patients were being knocked unconscious with a cocktail of barbiturates and other psychiatric drugs, and they were being subjected to electroshock treatment daily, sometimes twice daily, without their knowledge. Deep sleep treatment had led to 48 deaths.
Foi a CCHR que o investigou e expôs, e lutou por mais de uma década para proibir a cura de sono. Na África do Sul, a CCHR expôs os campos psiquiátricos, onde os pacientes eram alojados e tratados brutalmente e escravizados. Na Itália, a CCHR trabalhou com os meios de comunicação e os legisladores, e com raids nos hospitais psiquiátricos. As condições eram de barbárie, e a CCHR obteve o seu encerramento. No Japão, a CCHR expôs os crimes financeiros de psiquiatras e hospitais que defraudavam o governo e os contribuintes. Os culpados foram julgados e os hospitais encerrados. E nos Estados Unidos, a CCHR revelou uma fraude de bilhões de dólares na maior cadeia de instalações de saúde mental privada nacional. 600 agentes federais conduziram raids através de 20 estados. Seguiram-se muitas acusações, milhões em multas foram impostos e toda a cadeia de hospitais corruptos faliu e foi permanentemente fechada. Por detrás de cada aviso público sobre drogas psiquiátricas está a CCHR.
CCHR has documented the side effects of these drugs, has taken evidence to the FDA, has gone to Congress, has obtained congressional hearings.
It took 13 years before the FDA finally admitted that those drugs can cause suicide and issued black box warnings. We got 9 state laws passed. Following that, it was the introduction of the Child Medication Safety Act in 2004.
Só nos últimos 3 anos, houve mais de 50 avisos de agências internacionais expondo os perigos das drogas psiquiátricas.
History has told us every workable method that could be used to help people who are seriously disturbed, who do need some sort of treatment, has been suppressed and smashed by the vested interests of psychiatry and the pharmaceutical industry.
The public's largely been getting their information from the industry that benefits on putting them on psychiatric drugs. It's an advertising campaign. It's not science, it's marketing.
CCHR is causing things to change by being champions for a growing number of well-intentioned people who are risking their professional careers to speak up against the abuses of psychiatry.
Having that support from a group like this has made a tremendous difference in what I feel personally that I've been able to accomplish.
I think of CCHR as fellow soldiers.
I'm unaware of any other organization that does the kind of work that CCHR does, particularly on the scope and the level that they do.
CCHR has been very effective at moving the ball down the field. One at a time, one state at a time, one legislator at a time.
CCHR has had the resources to be able to teach and have legislators become more aware of what the problem with the psychotropic drugs are.
CCHR has researched the issue. When you need the facts, you go to CCHR.
Hoje, a CCHR tem mais de 300 filiais em inúmeros países por todo o mundo. Onde e sempre que os psiquiatras abusem dos direitos humanos, a CCHR leva a sua mensagem para as ruas, dos Estados Unidos ao Japão, do Canadá ao Reino Unido. Membros proeminentes da CCHR lideram marchas para assegurar a proteção e liberdade do abuso psiquiátrico para todos.
It's essential that CCHR does their job and gets the support to do their job, because the extent to which they do, the whole vehicle that's out of control about psychiatry gets to be contained and gets to be eliminated. It scares me to think if this doesn't happen. I've seen up close what it's like, and it scares the daylights out of me.
You have 100,000 people electroshocked every year. You have 17 million children worldwide taking mind-altering drugs. You have people being involuntarily committed every 75 seconds, and it's all under the guise of mental health.
The only way that you're going to get humane treatment into the mental health system is to take psychiatry and the vested interests out of the picture. And only then will you see people truly obtaining mental health.
You have two choices. Either you pretend you knew nothing about it, or you do something about it. With knowledge comes responsibility. That's why we're here. That's why people are joining forces with CCHR.
Juntando centenas mais de todas as crenças e modos de vida. A CCHR investiga e expõe as violações psiquiátricas dos direitos humanos e irá continuar a fazê-lo até que as práticas psiquiátricas abusivas parem e os direitos humanos e a dignidade sejam devolvidos. A sua ajuda é necessária. Junte-se a nós nesta luta.